Today's topic: Maurice Rocket Richard. As the Montreal Canadiens are the last Canadian team standing in this year's NHL playoffs, it's an opportune time to explore the legacy of one of the greatest players to suit up for the Habs, as well as one of the greatest National Hockey League players of all time. In 1999, the Montreal Canadiens donated the Maurice Rocket Richard Trophy to the National Hockey League, an award that was to be issued to the league's regular season leading goal scorer. But who was Maurice Richard? Arguably the NHL's first bona fide goal scorer, Maurice Richard spent his entire 18-year playing career with the Montreal Canadiens. Born on August 4, 1921, Richard gained a reputation as a prolific goal scorer in his junior hockey days. He joined the Habs in 1942, and in his third season, he became the first player to score 50 goals in a season. At a time when potting 20 goals was respectable, Richard had reached a remarkable milestone. His speed and scoring finesse earned him the nickname the Rocket. Maurice Rocket Richard would go on to become the first NHL player to score 500 goals in his career, a fine distinction to accent his 8 Stanley Cup championships. But Richard's career was briefly derailed by an infamous episode known as the Richard Riot. Playing the Boston Bruins on March 13, 1955, Richard got into an altercation with opposing Bruins forward Hal Laycoe. Following a scrum, an emotional Richard attacked linesman Cliff Thompson and was ejected from the game. In response, NHL Commissioner Clarence Campbell suspended Richard for the remainder of the regular season and the playoffs. When Commissioner Campbell attended the Canadiens' next game at the Montreal Forum later that week, he was heckled and ridiculed by fans. When a tear gas bomb exploded, the game was forfeited to Detroit, and Montreal fans poured into St. Catherine Street and rioted. When the Rocket himself went on the radio and appealed for calm, the unrest subsided, though not before hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage had been inflicted on local businesses. Ted Lindsay of the Detroit Red Wings, one of Richard's greatest rivals, opined that Richard should have been suspended for life for the incident. However, it can be safely surmised that Lindsay was probably speaking out of envy for Richard's extraordinary abilities. When relations between the two men softened several years later, Lindsay conceded that the Rocket had the quickest transition from zone entry to shot release that he had ever seen. "I don't care if they play hockey for 1,000 years," Lindsay said. "Nobody will ever be faster at picking up the puck at the blue line and getting a shot away than Maurice Richard." Maurice Richard passed away on this day in 2000. Because his beloved Canadiens remained standing in these playoffs, it was an opportune time to reflect on his legacy. To learn more about Maurice Richard, I recommend checking out the 2005 film The Rocket. Starring Roy Dupuis, this compelling biopic is available on YouTube and does a fine job of chronicling the life and career of the Rocket. Thank you for watching, and consider subscribing for more historical content.